Hello everyone, my name is Izzy Samore and this is my applied assignment for this class. Today I will walk through the following. First, my pre-work, including my topic, why I chose it, and what I knew before. Next, I'll share my new learning, the research I conducted, and the evidence I gathered. Finally, I'll discuss my continued inquiry and new questions moving forward. Let's start with the pre-work section. My topic is barriers to access and independence for people with disabilities. I chose this topic because as someone who works in education and lives with ADHD, I've seen how both physical and policy barriers, not just attitudes, affect inclusion. I focused on how these barriers impact access in schools and workplaces. Before this course, I mostly understood disability from an individual or medical perspective. I thought about it in terms of personal challenges, not systematic ones. Interview. So for my interview, I spoke with Dr. Norma Cady, a director at the Accessible Education Center at the University of Oregon. So she works with students with disabilities. I chose her because of her deep experience supporting college students with disabilities and shaping institutional policies. Before the interview, I had basic knowledge about disability accommodations, but I wanted to learn more about how policies can either help or hinder inclusion at an institutional level, especially in higher education, as that is a long-term goal of mine, is to work in higher education. And that is our Zoom. I had a Zoom meeting with Norma, so I just attached that as well. So this is the course materials page. One course resource I used was the Wing and Gross's 2018 article on stereotype threat in classrooms. This helped me understand how subtle biases, not just physical barriers, can impact students' academic success and emotional well-being. So I thought that was really important. Another important resource was the World Health Organization in 2011 World Report on Disability. It gave me a global view of how policy and physical barriers affect people with disabilities. I also used the CDC's 2020 report on common disability barriers and the GSDRC's 2015 guide on barriers to disability inclusion. These help me understand both the challenges and possible solutions, like universal design that we talked about in the course. And these again are continued, the ones that I just messaged, my continued resources. Going on to evidence. Now let's take a look at the evidence I gathered. Here are some visuals that illustrate my research. First, a photo of a wheelchair accessible classroom, which shows what inclusive design looks like in practice. Second, a diagram of universal design with ramps, stairs built together, showing how design can benefit all users, not just people with disabilities. Finally, I also added a quote from my interview with Dr. Cady, where she stated policies should not just comply with the ADA, they should anticipate and welcome the needs of students with disabilities. This really summed up the proactive mindset we need to achieve for true inclusion. Moving on to new learning and what I've learned in terms of inclusion, equity, and access. I learned that inclusion requires systematic change. It's not enough to change people's attitudes. We need to change environments and policies so that everyone can participate fully. Wing and Gross's work and the WHO report reinforced that universal design benefits everyone, not just those with disabilities. New learning and equity. Equity means giving people what they need to succeed, not just treating everyone the same. I learned that physical and policy barriers create inequality. Um, Inequality, even when intentions are good. In this study with the GSDRC emphasized that without removing these barriers, people with disabilities can't have the same opportunities as others. New learning with Access. Access is about more than ramps or elevators. It includes flexible policies, communication supports, and systems that don't assume a one-size-fits-all model. In some research by Kesed and Bryant's research on stereotype threat and workplaces also showed how access can be limited by both physical and psychological barriers. Continued inquiry. So, what's next? Right? Now, I want to know moving forward. I want to explore two big questions. First, how can universal design be expanded into low-income schools and workplaces that may not have the funding or large renovations? Second, what policy reforms could improve enforcement of existing disability rights laws? To learn more, I plan to attend disability inclusion webinars, stay involved with advocacy organizations, and continue following research in this field. Questions for my peers. For my peers, I'd like to ask, have you witnessed physical or policy barriers in your own school, workplace, or community? And what solutions would you suggest to improve inclusion and access? Next is just all the references that I cited, that I use. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you for listening to my presentation. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and learning from your experiences too. Thank you so much.